You're on.
Hello. Hello everyone. Um the when the video works again, I can't never hear the sound in the beginning, and then it was just like you're watching a video, and I'm like cool, and then it was like, oh no, we're starting. Sorry, it was weird. Technical difficulties. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to 52/1995, your live music conversation podcast, where we dive deep into the music of 1995. This is our first expansion into the 52 universe from our sister podcast, 52/1995 movies. I am your host, Alyssa, and I am joined, as always, by my co host, Cody. Cody, how are you doing today?
Sleepy.
Sleepy. We gotta wake up.
Sleepy.
It's
Jesus.
time to it's time to talk about music. If you are here joining us for the first time, welcome. I am very glad to have you. We are very glad to have you. Each week, 52 of them specifically, we are going to explore different albums from the year 1995. We're going to dive deeply. I am, y'all, welcome. I'm so sorry. I'm having a time. We're here. It's happening. This intro is going to hell in a handbasket. We're diving deep into we're going to do a podcast and we're going to talk about music from 1995. I'm so sorry. I was going to have like some type of like glitch at some point. I was doing pretty well for the first 8 weeks.
I'm
uh,
dying.
I'm so sorry. Welcome. I am happy to be here. I hope you're happy to be here. We do this every week of the year on Tuesday evenings to talk about albums that are about 30 years old. It's awesome. We're gonna have a fun time. And each month to go along with it, we have specific themes or genres. So the month of February, we just wrapped up our country music month. Today is March. We are in March, so that means we have a new genre, a new month, a new theme of the month. This month's theme is soundtracks. So soundtracks of the year 1995. We're going to cover two movie soundtracks. We're going to cover two musical soundtracks. So I am excited for this month very specifically, and really excited about today's album. Today's album is called Smokey Joe's Cafe: The Songs of Lieber and Stoller. Again, a musical that we are reviewing today. So, Cody, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let you tell me about your experience with this music. Like, what do you know about it?
Um,
Do you have experience with it? Or maybe even go broader and like your experience with musicals and soundtracks in general.
okay, so first, I guess I'll talk about I love musicals. Growing up, I was a big fan of musicals, particularly some of the older ones like Rodgers and Hammerstein and Music Man and things like that. Because that's what like my mom would take me to go see, like local productions, like local high schools put on musicals and stuff like that. And I kind of fell in love. At that point, there are still a couple musicals out there that I would love to be or star in. I don't think they're going to happen because that's not
What's your
something.
what's your like dream? Because we're both theater kids. What is your like whether it's your number one or if you've got like maybe two or three, what's your like top role in a musical that you if you like, someone presents Cody, you get your dream role, you get to perform it today. What is it?
I've always wanted to be Harold Hill in The Music Man. And
Hmm.
then close second is what God, I can't now I'm blanking on the name, but Little Shop of Horrors. It's
Seymour.
Seymour. I kept wanting to say Stanley, and I was like Stanley Yelnats is holes. Um I'd love to be Stanley Yelnats, but I think I'm too old for that. They need to make a Holes musical.
I would watch the hell out of a
I
Holes
mean, we
musical.
can do that, right? That'd be
Yeah, they have the Dig It song. We just add the Dig It
yeah.
song and put that in there and then make it like, oh yeah, they could be a whole like situation around Madame Zeroni and her spell, and that'll be like the reprise that happens throughout the show. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
in.
Oh, we've got
I'm
If Only. That's a song from that.
Oh yeah. Oh
See?
yeah.
Oh,
There's some very talented people out on TikTok who write entire musicals via TikTok videos. Let's call them. Get
call me
get on
Disney.
it.
So yeah, like growing up, I was a big fan of musicals. I was in all the musicals in high school. Um, and that's kind of where it ends there. I still keep up. Still love to go to a musical theater performance if possible. I've never seen what this kind of show is, which is a musical review,
Hmm.
more like I think that is something that was definitely popular in um early like the 30s. There were even some of the music movies that came out in the 30s, or like Broadway Follies of 1933 or whatever it is. Like this was kind of their jam, and I know that there's been musical reviews of like Cole Porter. There's a lot of those out there, and Sondheim has, like, even he has musical reviews of his work, but I've never seen one in person because I feel like all the musicals that I've seen that are similar to this are jukebox musicals, and
Hmm.
they try and make the music work with the plot.
Yes.
So like Jersey Boys would be the only thing that I've ever seen that falls into this kind of category. And like Jersey Boys is unique because it is a true story. It is a story about the Four Seasons, and they're using they're using their music as like time periods during the play. So
Hmm.
way that one works, but I've never experienced anything like this. I don't believe this has a story or anything.
Hmm.
It really is just people singing, and their kind of style, like their clothing is kind of stylized and everything like that. But I do recognize a lot of the songs that are on here, and grew up listening to like oldies, which is what this would be considered oldies. Oldies music. A lot of Elvis songs are on here.
Hmm.
Song that I ended up loving a lot on this. I didn't even realize was an Elvis song from one of the Elvis movies that I enjoy. Um, but I think I kind of liked it better on this than I did the Elvis version. So,
Hmm.
and I like the Elvis version. So,
There you go. I no, I agree. This is we don't get a lot of musical reviews, and I think there's a reason for it. One is that, like you said, like you've got to be pretty. You've got to have quite the catalog in order to have a musical review about your catalog. And you know, Lieber and Stoller wrote about, like, I mean, wrote for everybody and wrote
mhm,
a lot, and a lot of their songs are hits. So it makes, again, this album, this show is an hour and a half long. Now, not only it's, not every song is played to its fullest extent. There's a lot of songs that like kind of flow into one another. They combine songs a little bit. They'll play like 2 minutes of the song, but it is an hour and 35 minutes of just singing. There is in a musical review, there is no plot. It is just, I would almost like to call it a visual album, in the way that, like, and to compare it to Beyonce in a way, when she put
mhm,
out every single song on her album Lemonade came with a visual video to go along with the song. They kind of connected with one another, but they were in isolation. That is kind of how a musical review goes, is that there is a visual to go to a song, but that is in isolation. They can tie together a little bit, and it's also on a stage, not on album form. Um, so it's just music. There's no talking, there's no plot. There's a very loosely veiled plot, maybe, and that's what we do have here. But it is just straight singing for the entire time.
mhm,
Um, and it's fun. I think I enjoyed this album a lot. So my experience with musicals, similar to you, I grew up seeing them. The first show I saw was Annie, and just I grew up in it. I sang along to it. I went to go see shows. I was in theater in high school. Musicals have always been part of the thing that I've enjoyed. Probably one of the reasons why I do love music so much is because of musicals, and because of the different sounds and the music theory and the visuals and the dancing. Also really love dancing. So the combination of my some of my two of my favorite things to go together, it makes a lot of sense that I would enjoy musicals.
mhm,
But I've actually seen this show, not on stage. I've seen the movie there, and we'll talk about it later. There is a recording of this show. So if anyone's interested, it was from the 2001 performance. I believe it was the final performance. And it's on DVD out there in the wilderness, but I'm also fairly certain that it is available on YouTube. So if anyone is interested in seeing the visuals that go along with this album, I do recommend seeing the movie. It is very fun. I saw it, I think I was in like seventh or eighth grade. I was in music class, and I very distinctly remember the visuals for a handful of songs. Um, I'm a woman. Uh, Teach Me How to Shimmy and Love Potion number 9. Those like are very much in my brain. And this like album has just been in the back of my head like for since I was, 13. And even though I didn't know what it was called, I didn't know anything. I just watched a movie that had a bunch of singing with a bunch of fun songs. I was like, this is great. But those images do stick out in my head from when I saw it. Those again, very rarely do I have experience with what it is that we are listening to or what we're watching with 52 movies. This is one of the few that I do have some experience with, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
So I think that's everything I wanted to cover in terms of like background or um, anything you wanted to add before we jump in, or with our fun facts and background information about the album itself.
I don't think so.
Okay, so we'll kick things off. The title of today's album is Smokey Joe's Cafe: The Songs of Lieber and Stoller. We don't have an artist. We just say it's the company because it's a stage performance. There's not like one person who's so no artist info. We're just going to come with show info. I did mention earlier it's an hour and 35-minute long album. It has a lot of songs. There are a ton of songs. They go by quick, I feel like, because a lot of them are even just like 2 minutes long or they flow into one another nicely, but there are a lot of tracks on this album. A little bit about the show. Smokey Joe's Cafe, like we said, a musical review, 39 pop standards. I do have the number here. So 39 pop standards, including rock and roll and rhythm and blues songs, all written by Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller. After a Los Angeles tryout, the review opened on Broadway in 1995. Ran over 2,000 performances. That makes it the longest running musical review in Broadway history. So that's again, it is the most famous musical review because we really don't get a lot of musical reviews. But it's over 2,000 performances is pretty impressive. It also had a London run in 2001. There was a revival in 2018. This is, even though it's not the most famous, it is quite beloved by the people who know it. In review format, like we said, no unifying theme. The 39 songs are presented by various members of the cast in various combinations with no dialogue. There is like a faintly veiled theme in the show, kind of about a neighborhood. And we get the song Neighborhood like 3 times in this entire show, where it gets reprised and sang at the beginning and it's sung at the end. So it's this idea, what the audience is kind of getting is that we are watching the lives of people who live in this neighborhood, and the just kind of them interacting with one another, or being at a cafe at the same time as one another, and what they're dealing with mentally. I'm not gonna lie, did not find any positive reviews on this show. It was not really well reviewed, and again, I think it's because of that review style of show. But I want to. It's about this is from Variety magazine. The show opens and closes with the 1974 Obscurity neighborhood, which suggests that this will be a scrapbook of memories. So that is the vibe that we are getting. But yeah, so like a lot of the reviews were like, there's no plot. And I'm like, that's kind of the point. And it's interesting because we're viewing it from an album perspective in a way, not necessarily from a musical or stage performance perspective. It's not like we came to our Shania Twain album or our Jewel album looking for a plot. But we definitely do that with our musicals. And this is one of those weird spaces where we're kind of in the middle, where, do we want a plot? Do we not want a plot? Do we want cohesion? Do we not want cohesion? Is there not enough cohesion? So it is kind of interesting that we're kind of in the middle here with this one. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. I was nothing.
Okay. In terms of legacy, so this show was nominated for 7 Tony Awards in 1995, including Best Musical, and won none of them. They were not 7 nominations, 0 wins. Again, very mixed reviews. But it did win the Grammy for Best Musical Show Album in 1996. So that's pretty impressive for winning the Grammy. It also beat out How to Succeed in Business, which is one that we'll be reviewing here in a couple weeks for the Grammy. And I did mention that a film crew captured the final Broadway performance, appeared on DVD in 2001. I'm pretty sure you could check it out on YouTube. But that's the background information. That's about this show. Uh, Cody, any thoughts, or are you ready to break down some songs?
Yeah, I'm just curious. Like, I wonder what did some of the reviews that you saw say? I guess.
It was mostly that there wasn't a plot, that it
Hmm.
was like hard to follow, or that um in one review it was almost like, oh, like the people are just like singing and staring off into the distance. They're not like acting enough.
Hmm.
And there is acting and dancing happening on stage, but again, it's like, what do you want from this? I was just really surprised that I mean, it is a these are a lot of the reviewers are coming from Broadway reviewers. They are people who review Broadway shows,
Right.
but this is a Broadway review. It's in a different category almost. So to judge it with the same fervor as a just regular stage show. I'm like, this isn't even, it's comparable. It's apples and oranges. Apples and oranges are both fruit, but that doesn't mean they do the same thing, right?
Hmm.
So it's very interesting. I feel like the reviews were pretty harsh for what it was, like, lacking in, depth, is, or, oh yeah, like their facial expressions weren't expression enough. And I'm like, okay, most of these people are just standing there singing, like, and there is dancing there, yeah, like I said, but yeah, it wasn't a lot of positive reviews out there.
Hmm.
So I
Okay.
just thought that was interesting.
Yeah. That's interesting that they wouldn't know what a review is. Like, reviews have been around for since Broadway started. So.
Right, and I mean, they probably knew what a review. I mean, they always mention it's a musical review, but in their reviews of the review, I keep saying review over and over again. In it, their just because it's different, that doesn't mean they changed their scale in
Right.
which I don't know if it would. I don't want to say it's like comparing a movie to a television show, but again, they're both things that that we have actors and they're on screen and you watch, but are you going to rate them with the same rating scale as you would the other, right? Do you
Yeah.
judge a television show by your movie standards?
That makes sense. I yeah. I just was curious what else if they had anything about the music or anything that they were talking about.
Yeah, and yeah, none of it was about the music. A lot of it was about the performance.
Hmm.
Because again, we mentioned a lot of these songs are recognizable. A lot of these songs are beloved. Um, and that's not really where the issue was. It was with the actors themselves or the stage performance itself. I think they were like wanting a plot, and I'm like, that's not what this is about. They're
Yeah.
not supposed to have a plot. So to judge it by the thing it's not supposed to have is kind of like, okay, that doesn't really help me.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got to ask you for the song breakdown. There were so many songs. Again, 39 songs on this album. I wrote down a lot. I don't have like a ton of notes on each of them, but there's just like so many that stuck out to me. So I'll punt it to you. What songs stuck out to you as some of your favorites, or again, the ones that you want to chat about?
Yeah, I marked 7 as being my favorite, and that's not even some of the ones that like typically would be my favorite songs. Because I mean, I didn't even list "Stand by Me" on here. I think "Stand by Me" is a wonderful song,
Hmm.
but I didn't even include it on my list. I tried to again. I always try if I know something, like I want to try and pick out something else.
Hmm.
But the first song, the only note I had about "Neighborhood," it's not my favorite, but
Hmm.
it reminds me so much of we talked about Little Shop of Horrors earlier. It reminds me of Skid Row,
Hmm.
the opening song of Little Shop of Horrors. I mean, Little Shop kind of takes place in like a doo-wop. All the music is kind of 60s esque, and I just wonder if Alan Menken, who wrote Little Shop, used a little inspiration from that Neighborhood song. Um, because it's almost like the antithesis of Neighborhood. Skid Row is. It's like everybody's talking about memories in the neighborhood, and Skid Row's talking about how everybody wants to get out of this freaking place because it sucks. So I
Hmm.
just wondered if it reminded me of Skid Row. So
I like that. Do you know when Little Shop came out?
is the 80s.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, obviously, Neighborhoods as a song is older than this show, but this show came out in '95, so
Mhm.
Little Shop would have happened before then. But maybe yeah, the doo-wop style. I mean, that's all Lieber and Stoller. did. I mean,
Mhm.
there's like rock and roll and pop and rhythm and blues, and there's variations of everything, but it all falls under that like oldies doo-wop
Yeah,
category.
I tried to find any inspiration behind the songs of Little Shop with that song. Couldn't find anything. So maybe it's just me stretching on that. Who knows?
Yeah,
I don't know.
and maybe that's your music pairing. Like that's the comparison that you make, and you're like, this reminded me of this, and
Yeah,
that's what I would pair together.
yeah. The songs that I wrote down were "Searchin'," mostly because
Okay.
"Searchin'" was like one of the first ones where I was like, "Oh yeah, Searchin'." I didn't realize that the name of the song was "Searchin'" because it starts out with "Gonna Find It." Kansas City.
hmm
I love Kansas City. Poison Ivy
hmm
on Broadway, which feels like the most Broadway song of all
Yeah.
of these. Yakety Yak because it's a banger, and I love any version of Yakety Yak because it's
hmm
insane. You're the Boss,
Oh, okay.
and There Goes My Baby.
Yes, we have a lot of the same ones.
Okay, great. Yeah.
I loved Kansas City.
Kansas
I
City's fun. Like back to back searching in Kansas City. I really enjoyed that. I mean, I think they're the same. It might be like the same troupe that's singing them.
hmm I think so. They're like because they spill into one another.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we have and yeah, Searching's like I'm gonna find my baby, I'm gonna find my love, and then it's like I'm going to Kansas City to find my love. So it's like they're like two songs that are seemingly unrelated, they make them related. They spill
mhm.
into one another, and you're on for the ride, you're on for the journey. Searching, yeah, that has that bounciness where it does make you just kind of want to go like this. But yeah, I liked Kansas City. It was they that was a really, really good one.
Yeah. So those are the songs that I picked out that really stuck out to me. I didn't obviously. There are some other songs on here uh, that I could have easily put
Oh
down.
yeah.
There were some songs that I stayed away from. Hound Dog,
hmm
Jailhouse Rock, Love Potion Number Nine,
hmm
Spanish Harlem is whatever. Um,
I will say for the Elvis songs, specifically Hound Dog, I liked this rendition of Hound Dog because it to me felt more like the original version. I don't know what
mhm.
the woman's name is who originally sang Hound Dog, but it felt more like hers than like Elvis's, and that kind of made me happy.
Well, that's one thing I was going to say about which song did I pick out? You're the Boss. You're the
hmm
Boss comes from I think it's Viva Las Vegas, the
Oh,
that
okay.
movie.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a duet between Elvis and Anne Margaret. Anne Margaret's my favorite of the Elvis ladies that he acts with.
hmm
Um, but I liked this rendition more. It felt sexier. It felt like
hmm
not grittier is a weird word to say here, but like compared to like it felt the Elvis version feels very whitewashed.
hmm
And this one felt I don't know real. And
Yes.
I liked how this one presented itself. I guess is the best way to say it.
There are two people who are volleying back and forth in a
Yeah,
really good way. It's like your turn now, your turn now, and it's like, yeah, you're right. It is sexy. It is like, and it helps that both of our singers are definitely an alto and a bass.
yeah.
That's a very deeper, the same not whitewashed version of the song. And you're right. It has a good flow, a good bounce to it. And it's just a different. Like I say we're getting different versions of the songs that we know and love.
I
And
will say,
Hound Dog, even
yeah.
Jailhouse Rock probably sounded the most Elvis-y to me, but that one's like kind of like a classic. Like, how do you sing Jailhouse
Mhm.
Rock without sounding like Elvis?
And with "You're the Boss," it like when Elvis is singing it in the movie, it seems cringy. Like if you listen to the lyrics of "You're the Boss," it's kind of like it is kind of
hmm
cringy. But like when these two people sing it together, it doesn't feel that way. Like the
Yeah.
words almost have different meaning because it is
hmm
all of like reading the lyrics to "You're the Boss." It's almost like, hey, you're in charge here. You're the one that's controlling this situation,
hmm
and it just feels better. in this than it
There's
does in the Elvis
respect.
one. Yeah,
It feels
maybe
like there's
that's it.
respect between two people. And like at the end of the song, there's like that cheeky moment where the woman is like, okay, so how about this? Like today I'll be the boss. And tomorrow, and you think she's gonna say, and she goes, I'll be the boss. Like she just
Yeah.
says like it's cheeky, it's cute, it's fun, and also sexy.
Hmm. So yeah, just
Yeah,
You're the Boss was the only Elvis one I think I picked out of the group. Um,
that's fair.
yeah. So.
Yeah. I liked you mentioned Yakety Yak, and which is such a fun song as a general life statement. It also flows immediately into Charlie Brown, which I also love. I did not realize. I think when I first heard these songs, it was when I saw this movie when I was 13, and I thought they were the same song. Like I'm just like they just flow. Like this
Hmm.
is just how these. Like nope, these are two separate songs, but they flow so well together. But Yakety Yak always cracks me up because I'm like, you know what? We really don't have a lot of songs about parents scolding their children,
Yeah,
which I don't
that's.
even know if that's actually what it's about, but in my head it is.
I'm pretty sure that's what it's about. I love the lyrics to this. I love the horns in the background.
Yeah.
Makes it a lot really really fun. I
Yeah.
associate Yakety Yak um, with John Candy, and because the reason because this song, John Candy's family in the movie The Great Outdoors sings this song in the opening scene. And so anytime I think of Yakety Yak, I think of this song. So, and then anytime if this comes from Yakety Sax, which is a Boots Randolph song. It's just like a tenor saxophone. The saxophone part in
Mm.
this comes from Yakety Sax. So,
Yeah. And it's so like, it sounds like that chicken song. Like the it's like that same kind of like style of horn.
yeah.
And it makes you just like these songs just make you want to like run around in a circle. There's like, yeah.
It's like Benny Hill. I think that's where that what you're talking about, that chicken song.
Yeah.
I think that's Benny Hill that does all that. But yeah, I Yakety Yak's a fun song. It almost there were these songs in like the 50s and 60s that were like joke songs almost, like not
Hmm.
parodies, but like fun songs or
Yeah.
cheeky songs, as you've been saying. Like Roger Miller is a country singer and he has a lot of like fun songs. Wackadoo. I don't know if you've ever heard Wackadoo
Mm-mm.
before. It's just wackadoo, 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 wackadoo. He just sings that
Oh, I
over and
think I
over.
do
Yeah,
have. I think I
yeah.
have heard that song. I was
I
like, oh yeah.
love wackadoo. And Roger Miller has a ton of those kind. They're not joke songs. They're just I don't know. They're like fun.
Yeah, they're fun. I mean, that's something that we've kind of I think maybe we've talked about this before. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast. That's something I really love about some bands. It like that you see like right you see it in pop punk is that there is a level of humor that you don't necessarily get in other genres. You can get it in country music as well, a little bit. Um, but
Yeah,
I think it
Brad
really
Paisley has a couple funny songs.
yeah, and like Rascal Flatts, the play a country song backwards
Hmm.
is one. I always think of Bowling for Soup. They take nothing seriously. Sabrina Carpenter, all of her jokes are innuendo, but they are like silly. She is a very silly person.
Hmm.
Um, like saying that God didn't give her her gay awakening and now she's stuck dating men is as like the ending line of Slim Pickens is very funny. Like again, not so we don't get humor in music a lot today. I
Hmm.
feel like you can get that. Again, some of these songs are very silly. Like Little Egypt. I'm like, what are we doing? Like this
Yeah.
doesn't I was like that this is weird. Like is this per like what it was very strange. There are some songs on here I'm like that's a bit much. But
Love Potion
Yakety
number
Yak.
9 is wild
I
too.
love I love No Push number nine though.
I need to make you watch Love Potion number 9. There's a movie that
Oh, that
is
I mean, it's a plot. It's a fully fleshed plot. Like I want to know. That makes sense to make a whole movie out of it.
yeah, it's not to go off too far of a topic, but the movie stars Sandra Bullock before she kind of explodes. and Tate Donovan, and they play two very nerdy professors, nerdy scientists that develop this love potion. And I mean, they're like geeks and stuff, and they're like, let's use it. And they use it to go out and, like nutty professor themselves, to where they start going on dates with all these people, and then, realize the whole time that they are fine the way they are, and that they actually should be probably together. You probably could have guessed it. I'm not spoiling anything.
That
but
sounds like everything I want in a movie.
Yeah, it's
Nerds
silly. I used to watch it when I was a kid. It used to be on TV all the time and like Saturday afternoon. So it's a cute movie.
We love Sandy B in this household.
We love Sandy B.
And I'm in. I got to see that now. That sounds exactly like everything. I love a rom-com. I love nerds. I love Sandra Bullock. Let's go.
Yeah. So that's my history on Love Potion number 9.
Oh, I like that. No, I kind of want to talk about it too, because, and maybe talk a little more about There Goes My Baby, but There Goes My Baby immediately spills into Love Potion number 9. And it's the same lead singer, Adrian Bailey, I believe his name is singing about how his woman left him. He made her cry and he doesn't know why she left, and then immediately goes and gets a love potion from Madame Ruth. And I'm like, again, it's just like, this is just 2 songs of the 39 that they strung together for no reason, but they work. It works really well, and it's kind of funny to see the, how it plays out on stage. But yeah, I love There Goes My Baby was one of my favorites. Like the vocals, the doo-wop, the bass, there she goes. Like I love that one. That definitely is one of my favorites.
It's always been a favorite of mine. Besides this, I think it's like super popular song
Oh, yeah.
from the 50s, that I think the Drifters is who originally sang There Goes My Baby. That sounds right. It's like the Coasters, the Drifters, all these, I don't even know.
The Travelers.
The Travelers, Elvis, who knows?
I like it.
I don't think I'd ever heard, you were talking about Charlie Brown. I don't know if I'd ever heard Charlie Brown before. I know that sounds weird because I think it's a very popular song, but
I don't know. I just think it's such, because when anybody I feel like thinks of Charlie Brown, they think of the cartoon, right? But the Charlie Brown in this song, the lyrics are, who walks in the classroom cool and slow, who calls the English teacher daddy-o, which is, again, hilarious. Not something that our beloved Charlie Brown cartoon would probably do. So I'm like, who is this Charlie Brown? He sounds interesting. Or there's smoke coming out of the gymnasium, like that's like as if he set something on fire. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, this isn't our Charlie Brown. This is a different Charlie Brown.
Not my Charlie Brown.
Not my Charlie Brown.
I've got a couple. Is there any other song that you have? Because I've got a couple I wanted to talk about too.
Let's see. What did I have? What did I say?
Kansas City, yakety yak. There Goes My Baby.
I lost my notes. I could see Charlie Brown dropping a daddy-o. It is very jazzy, and I feel like Charlie Brown is very jazzy.
Yeah. Or I always think of the teacher, wah, 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 wah. Like that's definitely a trombone.
I don't know if I'm ready to talk about Poison Ivy just yet.
Okay.
But on Broadway.
Oh, yes.
That was my other one that we haven't talked about yet.
Do you hear that song and think of the eBay commercial?
No.
Do you not know what I'm talking about?
No idea what you're talking about.
Oh my goodness. So when eBay first became a thing, there was an eBay commercial that was called On eBay. And it was, they took the lyrics of On Broadway and it's like, I can find this on eBay. I got to find it for you. It's a great commercial. Clearly, it's like 20 years later, it's stuck in my head. It's like, I saved a bunch on this guitar on eBay. That's what it always makes me think of. So it was fun. It's fun to hear the actual version of it.
I guess I don't have much to say about this song other than I really just like this song.
Yeah, there's
Um,
not a lot to say about these songs. There's not too much going on. Again,
no.
similar to our country month, there's not a lot of poetic genius happening here. We're just having fun.
And I think that the version of On Broadway that I've heard is probably that like more that 70s version of this song. Again, I think this was a Drifter song originally in like the 50s or early 60s or whatever.
Hmm.
But I think there is a like it almost feels like a disco version of this song that I've heard more of.
Interesting. And this is
Yeah.
very Broadway,
Yeah.
which is yeah, we don't get a lot of that. We get great harmonies throughout the entire show, throughout the entire album, but this one is a very Broadway-esque song. There's a lot, I want to say too, the percussion throughout this entire album is probably my favorite. The
Mhm.
horns are great, but like we get the,
I have complaints though about this album.
oh, okay. Oh yeah, you're allowed to. But I think about like there's a lot of high taps that are happening, but even on Broadway, do 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 like there's just the beats that are carrying it through.
Yeah.
I love. Did you like um, shopping for clothes by chance?
I
Do you remember
honestly
that one?
I honestly don't remember it that much. I even listened through today. I don't remember. I was kind of like skipping through. I was like, no,
Hmm.
yes, no.
Yeah.
So I don't remember that one that much. I
So
was hoping
shopping.
you weren't going to say like this one that I said is my least favorite. So,
Which one's your least favorite?
well, do
We'll
you
we'll
want?
get to we'll get to
Yeah.
it. We'll get to it. No, shopping for clothes was another one that was like I feel Broadway-esque, in not in the sense of the Broadway sound, but the sense that it was like two people were speaking in rhyme over some music about a man who's just trying to buy a suit and his credit gets rejected. Like that's literally the whole song, but it is like very interesting, and it's not like no one is singing. They are like kind of just speaking in rhyme. It's almost like spoken word or spoken
Hmm.
poetry over these hi-hats. And I was like I'm in. I'm like I'm here. I'm listening to the story. I'm here. I want to know what's happening. It's really not that like exciting. Again, he tries to buy a suit, his credit gets declined. He's like, that's not a suit you're gonna own, bow. And that's at the end of the song, and it's one of the longer songs on the album too. But yeah, I really liked it. I think it basically maybe just because it was different, and it like was just a break from the 50s and 60s songs that we had been hearing.
Yeah, it does. No, I'm listening to it in the background as I'm doing. It does feel a little bit more like R&B, like the bluesy. It feels bluesy.
Yep.
Yeah, but you're right about the spoken.
And
Interesting.
blues is something that that is one of the genres that we see. Pop, rock and roll, rhythm and blues is like the three genres that we see in this show. Um, so yeah, I just thought that one was really interesting.
Yeah, I think that I don't know, with this album, it makes me wish that it was more Jersey Boys-esque.
More
It makes
cohesive.
me yeah, it makes me wish that it was like maybe we're doing a musical about the coasters and the drifters and like them going, coming up in 50s, 60s rock together and
Hmm.
I don't know. It left me wanting a lot more, I will say.
Hmm. I so that's when, and usually we talk about this at the end, is would you recommend this album to a friend? I said yes, only if you're going to watch it. That
Yeah.
I would recommend the movie to a friend or going to see a stage production of it. Because just like I agree with you, just listening to the album, you go, where are we going? Like
Yeah.
there is not enough cohesion. I think the visuals really tie it together. Again, we're watching people exist in their lives in a neighborhood. That is
Mhm.
all the plot that there is. And again, we even in any other musical review, you just don't get that. So
Yeah.
if now could you take this and turn it into, like you said, a musical about the drifters? Absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah, I think when it comes to like what that question, like, would you recommend it? I said maybe if they wanted to see like what a musical review is from a specific time or time period. Otherwise, I was like, just go listen to the originals of
Yeah.
these songs because, like, while I did enjoy some of the songs that we're talking about, I felt like outside of like one or two, I was like, the originals are so much better, and I would rather just
Mhm.
listen to that. Especially if you're talking about like Stand By Me. I want to listen to Benny
Yeah.
King sing Stand By Me. I don't want to listen to John and Judy and BJ and Brenda all sing this song. And I'm just like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. What was interesting is that when it had its run on Broadway, that had a lot of guest singers. Like Rick Springfield was part of the
Mhm.
cast for a couple nights, which is crazy. But if you think about it, this is just covers.
Yeah, I
It's
didn't want to say like I know you like this.
You
I
did
don't know
not
how
like this.
I did not like this.
Oh no.
And I think it's because it felt very, and please, I mean, there are songs on here that it felt very like a Branson stage show to me.
Hmm.
Um, like you would see, like Branson has their own version of Jersey Boys,
Hmm.
and it is just guys that are dressed up like the Jersey Boys, not
Yeah.
doing the musical, but just singing the Four
Yes.
Season songs. And I'm like, that's what this comes across as to me, as just like I could, which that's what those Branson stage shows are, Gatlinburg stage shows are
Hmm.
just musical reviews, and with some
Yeah.
very talented people. That is not saying anything negatively about these people, but it is.
Mhm. It's the type of this type of show just isn't for you, and that's
Yeah.
okay. I like that's good to hear. I have again, like I said, I have a special place in my heart for this show
Yeah.
because I saw it at a young age, which is why we have this whole podcast in the first place, is to rewatch things that are and re-listen to things that are 30 years old and discuss if they're actually good or not.
Yeah,
And that's
I
good.
felt bad.
There's
I didn't even wanna say it. I
that's
felt like I was
okay.
disappointing you.
You are not disappointing me. I no again, there's one song in particular that I haven't brought up yet that if you didn't like it, that might hurt my feelings a little bit. But
I'm really hoping you need to tell me right now
is
what
it
the song.
did you hate Saved?
No, I knew it
Okay,
wasn't
that's the
Saved.
only song.
Ooh,
Okay,
no.
no, that's the only
No,
one. That's
Saved was good, and you've played Saved for me before because you've talked about dancing to that song. No,
yes.
Saved is great. Saved is
Yes.
wonderful. Like,
Saved is
and
also not a song that I would hear on the radio, which is maybe again when we talk about like Broadway songs, Broadway shows, wanting that Broadway feel. Saved is a revival song. It's a
mhm,
gospel like song that you would not hear in pop music. So it's such again, it's such a shift. The singer, the woman who sings lead on it, I think is the same one from You're the Boss, is incredible.
yeah.
Like it's such a fun, upbeat song. I did do a tap dance to it as a kid. So to me, again, that's why this show has a special place in my heart because that's how I found that song.
And
Um,
I throw in "I'm a Woman" too. Like that's not a song that I have heard that much of out.
mhm.
And so Saved, I'm a Woman, those were ones that I liked. Like I said, I really came out of this with liking that version of You're the Boss a lot more. Like that was really good. And I was like, nah, screw the Elvis version. That was the one
Yes.
song that I was like, no, 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 this one's good. This one's better.
I just had a thought. Okay, because I have to figure out a way to bring up Taylor Swift every week.
I
Do you
was
remember?
wondering if you were gonna do this.
Well, I wasn't until you said this is like like it's a these are how these musical reviews shut out. Do you remember? Not do you remember? Maybe and other people in the chat might maybe you're not getting these types of advertisements, but in Cincinnati, at least recently, a Taylor Swift essentially impersonator is performing at her own concert.
Hmm.
She's traveling the country, and it's the title of the concert is like come sing Taylor Swift, and this woman dresses up is a Taylor Swift lookalike, gets on stage and sings songs that are reminiscent and are very simple. I mean, they are Taylor Swift songs 100%. She's covering them. But the whole vibe looks like the tour, the Eras tour that Taylor Swift just finished. Is that considered a review?
I think so. I think that's
Because
exactly what I'm talking about.
we were trying to figure out the legality of this woman just doing her own Taylor Swift concert nationwide. And it's like, how do you do that? Like, I'm sure she pays some kind of royalty. She's going to have to, but like, how legal is it to dress up and perform and even make your set and stage look like something that already exists? But maybe if you categorize it under a musical review, it's okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because I just looked it up and it's like a tribute band. So they're like
Yeah.
a tribute. I don't know how that works, and we've talked about that before about not knowing how like what the uh legality is of. Obviously, it's legal, but
Mhm.
how they
How do
get
you get
around
around it?
some of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, even covers, like Lieber and Stoller with this show, like signed off on it. They were like, "Yep," I mean, or their people were like, "Yes, go ahead, make this thing, do this thing, totally okay." As with most jukebox musicals, where you have to get somebody's approval that they wrote whatever pop song, whatever they wrote in the past, and you want to include in your show. There is an approval process for all those things. Um, so I don't know. I just think it's interesting. But I agree. This is covers. This is just a
Yeah.
cover album at its
And
core.
I think there are some covers that are better than other covers. There are some songs on here where I'm like, what the hell are we doing?
Yes, and that's fair. That is totally fair.
I'm eager to
Uh,
hear what your least favorite song is.
okay. I've got like a couple. Like
Okay.
it's not just one. Um, I think, yeah, I wanted to talk about Save. I wanted to talk about shopping for clothes. I have Keep on Rolling, Ruby Baby, um, I Who Have Nothing. I Keep Forgetting. Like those are all ones that stuck out to me as ones I enjoyed. Um, and of course, the classics, the Love Potion #9, the Stand By Me, there goes my baby. Like all of those were fantastic. There's not a lot to say about them other than
Hmm.
I just enjoyed them. I did like Keep on Rolling again, if we're going back to that Broadway musical aspect where it reminds me of, speaking of Music Man, the opening scene when they're on the train and they're speaking in time, and because the Keep on Rolling
With the
sound
train,
sounds
yeah.
like there's a train in the background. And I was like, "Oh, that's very Broadway." To have the music sound like something like a train rolling by. So yeah, those are all ones that I enjoyed, ones that stuck out to me, but nothing that I was like, yeah, these are the ones I was like, ooh, I might go back and listen to that again, or I will go and listen to the original version.
Hmm.
I had only a couple that were kind of ones that I was like, I don't really like that. But let's get it. Is there anything else you wanted to say about breaking down the songs?
Um,
Oh, you
Poison
said Poison
Ivy.
Ivy. Yeah, what's up with Poison Ivy?
So Poison Ivy is a fun song that it kind of goes along with what we were talking about, like of being a funny, fun song or whatever. I feel like
Hmm.
Poison Ivy is about an STD. Let's just be
I was
real.
gonna say, do you think it's about an STD?
Yeah, and even in like the annotated lyrics that I was looking at, they were like, "Oh yeah, this is 100% about an STD."
Oh, okay. I thought
Um,
that was like one of those things where it's like, oh, she just sucks. It's like, no, this is about itching.
yeah, no, it's a. I think it is about getting with the wrong girl and her being not the right girl in that aspect. And I think this is their clever way of getting around it. And it makes it seem like, oh, yeah, she's just a bad girl.
Hmm.
But she's a bad girl in other ways. Because, I mean,
Hmm.
it's just crazy that this song exists. And I think it's
Yeah.
hilarious.
I think as
And
a kid, because I definitely heard this song as a kid, and I think I always associated it with the Batman villain,
yeah,
like the poison. I'm like, oh, like she's a bad girl, like Poison Ivy, the villain. Like that's how I always associated. And then the older I got, I like, this song's definitely about an STD. But
and I associate, there was a movie, of course, I always associate it to a movie, but
that's
there is a
good.
movie called Poison Ivy that stars Drew Barrymore, very young
Mm,
Drew Barrymore, and it's an erotic thriller, and
mm,
she is Ivy, and I think it's kind of got like a cult status to it, and
okay,
um, there's like, yeah, she's like Ivy is like evil in this movie.
gotcha.
Yeah, it's very culty, I would
Is it
say.
good?
I don't think good is what I would say the movie is. It's got a young. This was probably one of Leonardo DiCaprio's like first movies, too.
Okay,
He's randomly in there. I remember that. But yeah, Drew Barrymore is a bad girl.
bad girl, a Poison Ivy.
Opposite ivy. Yeah,
They're all fun, and
yeah.
the vocals on this album for the most part are very good. Like again, these are Broadway people, so
I,
it's kind of hard
you
to not be. But
you want to know why I think I was turned off the most from this
yes.
is because it reminded me of a program that I did in
Mm,
elementary school that was all these songs, and I think that also adds to it. It was like
okay.
I remember, I feel like Love Potion number 9 was a part of the music that we were doing in elementary school. But I remember like Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Polka Dot Bikini was a part of it. Purple People Eater was on there. Like
Love Purple People Eater.
all these like 50s like
Yeah.
cheeky
Silly
songs
songs.
were silly songs were on there, and I think that's what I kind of associated it with. Even though
Okay.
there are songs on here that are a lot deeper than the ones that I just named, but I keep thinking back to that and thinking about those songs and that elementary school performance. So
It is very easy to take this album as a joke.
yeah,
Like to not take it seriously because the songs aren't serious and without a plot to make it serious. Like what's the I was like jukebox musical, the Green Day musical. It's called
oh, American Idiot.
American Idiot. I was gonna say, is it called 21 Guns? No, 21 Guns is in the show. But like those songs by themselves, again, American Idiot is a great song, like, a powerful song on its own, but then you add it into the musical and it has to have meaning now, and you have to make it deeper. It is deeper when you add the context of the show to it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if anyone's interested in seeing that, I don't know if there's a video recording of it, but you can see like clips on YouTube. That is a fun show. If you're a fan of Green Day and musicals, you have to be a fan of
Yeah.
both to really like it, but I am, so I
I,
enjoy it.
I think this revival of this music also kind of lends itself to the time period of 95 when it came out, because it feels like, just looking at the cover of the album, it feels like almost like I was expecting a swing revival. And
Mm,
swing got this big revival in the 90s. Like that's when the swing Brian Setzer Orchestra and Cherry Poppin' Daddies and all that stuff was becoming big. So I was almost expecting that when I got into that. And a
interesting.
couple of these songs I was like, yeah, I can see some of the performances are a little bit cheesier, and like it's easy for me to look back on this through my 2025 eyes, never having seen it in the way that you had or had performed
Mhm.
things, and be like, oh yeah, this is super cheesy. Like,
Yeah. Oh, very cheesy. Well, if we think about it, so this came out in 95 for songs about the 50s and the 60s. It would be like today, like if we had a musical review about like the most popular songs from the 80s and 90s that
mm-hmm.
were all written by the same guy. Um, or it'll be, you know what it'll, because I'm trying to think of someone modern day who writes a bunch of songs. It would be like 40 years from now, someone doing a Benny Blanco review.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
I
that
think
dude writes everything.
I think of a show like Rock of Ages, and I don't know if you've ever seen Rock of
a,
Ages, the
a true
musical.
jukebox musical. I've seen
A
the
true
movie.
jukebox musical. I don't like Rock of Ages, and I think it's kind of
But
trashy.
it's camp. That is
I
camp.
guess. I mean, I guess it's camp. I just do not like that musical.
Oh,
I
but
did
it's
not like
cheesy on purpose. It's bad on purpose. That's why it's camp. Because you
and
can't take that and make it good.
so I think about that, and I think about the musical, and I don't know. That's what this kind of gives me
That's fair. It's not
vibes.
good, but it's not supposed to be.
Yeah,
And that's camp.
that's camp, baby.
That's camp, baby. What is your favorite song?
My favorite song is "You're the Boss."
All right.
Yeah.
I had I listed mine. I keep forgetting, saved, there goes my baby, and shopping for clothes. Those were mine. Those were my big standouts.
I'm surprised that shopping for clothes is one of your favorites.
I don't know why. I was like, because I listen to these albums when I'm at work, and I try to like I'm listening to the album, I'm also working or I'm doing whatever. And that song, for whatever reason, I was like, oh, I have to stop. I have to like I was drawn in. I don't know what it was, but I was just like, I'm captivated. I'm gonna sit and fully engage with this song and not let it be background music. And
Hmm.
it was different. It was just different. Maybe that's why it's not good. I mean, it's not like
Yeah.
the best song. Again, nothing compares to There Goes My Baby, in my opinion. That one is like the top. But yeah, I really liked it. So I gotta know what your least favorite is.
Pearl's a singer.
I didn't like that one either.
I hated that song.
You hated it.
It
Okay,
all like
elaborate.
so one, this song starts out with these weird keyboard, this like in the background, and I don't know. I need to go and search the actual song and see
Hmm.
if I can find a better version of it. But like the keyboards in this song really felt dated and of the early, like it felt even earlier than 90. It felt like 92. And
Hmm.
it felt like, and I've mentioned these people to you before, of these children's singers, Sharon Lois and Brahm, where it just felt like the cheesiest cover of a song ever, and it
Hmm.
made it seem like it wasn't even a real song. Like it never made me feel like this was an actual cover of a song. I was like, this isn't a real song at all. And then like it switched genre. I was like, is this country? Is this jazz? Is the singer Melissa Etheridge? Like it covers so much, and it still didn't work for me at all.
Yeah,
I did not like that song at
it's
all.
too all over the place. Yeah, there's a Pearl's a singer and she stands when she plays the piano. Like it just like the vibe shifts 2/3 of the way in the song. You're just like, where are we
Yeah,
going? Yeah, I didn't like that one either.
I gotta
It
find a
didn't.
better version of that song.
Yeah, it didn't offend me, but
It
I
it
didn't like it.
offended me. I was upset. I was like, "What the hell is this?" I'm
Mhm.
telling you, listen to like I'm listening to the I think the OG version in my head right now. Already am tons better.
Yeah, it might be in part the singer, like the person who sang it in the show, because their voice was kind of different.
I'm
But
telling you,
yeah.
it's the keyboard. It is the keyboard in the beginning. It really took like the keyboard feel. It almost feels like an organy in the original song,
Hmm.
and in this one, it just feels like I got my Casio from the music store, and I'm just
And
like banging it out on there. And no, I don't love it. Sorry, that was my
that's
least favorite.
that's okay. I didn't really like that one either. My least favorite was Little Egypt. I mentioned that.
Yeah, that was not great.
It was no, because I was like, one, is this racist? Probably. Two, I was like, okay, it sounds like that they're going to not a strip club, but somewhere where a lady dances the hoochie coo and wears a ruby on her belly, and
Mhm.
is a sexy dancer out in public, but then she goes home and she has 7 kids. And I'm like, she's a single mom who works 2 jobs. Leave her alone. But I was like, I don't. I was like, this took a turn. I was like, are you making fun of this woman? Like, it was big. I was like, the vibe is off. The vibe is weird. I don't like it. A lot of hoochie coo happening.
We love some hoochie coo.
I need to look up like what does the hoochie coo look like, the dance, because it's mentioned in half of these songs.
I'm
It
pretty
sounds
sure.
sexy.
I'm pretty sure I've done the hoochie coo before.
Is there video footage? And can I find it?
No,
No.
just kidding.
Well, do you have a favorite lyric?
So like we talked about this with some of the we did this a lot with the country music stuff. It's like trying to find something among these songs that I was just like, oh yeah, this is these songs aren't that deep. So I just went with measles make you bumpy, and mumps will make you lumpy, and chicken pox will make you jump and twitch. A common cold will fool you, and whooping cough can cool you. But a poison ivy, Lord, will make you itch.
It's so good. Yes, I love that line. I love that whole bit. It's just, and it's bouncy and it's fun. I got two. I got from I'm a woman. I can make a dress out of a feed bag and make a man out of you.
Ooh,
I was like, snaps, snaps, snaps. I was like, that was
get
pretty
it,
good.
get it.
And the other one is from I Keep Forgetting. And it's, I keep forgetting that you told me that you didn't want me around anymore. But these stupid old feet just head straight for your street like they've done so many times before. And the stubborn old fist on the end of my wrist keeps a knocking on your front door. And I like that. Just like you're yelling at your body parts for
hmm
betraying you. Like,
I
you dumb wrist.
I almost put songs from or lyrics from Yakety Yak where they're just yelling about. I think there's one that's tell your hoodlum friend or something that he can stay outside. I was like, man,
Oh
that
boy.
sounds like my mom talking about not letting me hang out with the city kids of Lynchburg. Which
The
we're not.
city kid.
Oh my god.
So country.
Yeah, super country.
The city kid, the hoodlums.
The hoodlums. It's
Hoodlum
crazy.
is a great word.
Oh yeah,
Like, and I'm sure it has some horrific meaning behind it, now that
probably.
I'm saying it over and over again. But it's like, it's just a word that we don't use anymore, and it's funny.
Youths.
Yeah, we just say youths. Do you have any music pairings to go along with this show? We talked about Little Shop of Horrors.
Little Shop, Jersey Boys, I think, is an obvious comparison to this, just with Four Seasons and their music. Another one that I know about because a friend in college was in this show when he was in college. Forever Plaid. Have you ever heard of Forever Plaid?
No.
Um, it's kind of like a jukebox musical, but it's about these four boys, high school boys who die in a car crash and then return to do like one more show. And it's all like barbershop quartet kind of stuff, but it's all like um, they sing some like 50s doo-wop kind of songs.
Okay,
And they all wear
interesting.
plaid jackets and whatever. Um, yeah, Love is a Mini Splendored Thing is on there. Three Coins in a Fountain, Chain Gang, Heart and Soul, stuff like that. So yeah, but it is a musical.
All right. No, that's a good comparison. I like that. I've never heard of it.
And that's it.
Um,
That's all I have. So
okay. No, it's good. I've got two. One of them is the musical Company.
oh yeah.
uh, because of the neighborhood element and the lots of different side characters and the different moving parts. Again, this show doesn't have much of a plot, but if it did have a plot, it would probably be Company. Because a Company's just the better version of the show.
Mhm.
But as we say, we've seen it. There's also is that on YouTube?
Company?
The,
Yeah,
the Neil Pat
I'm sure you can search for it and find that Neil Patrick Harris version of
I'm pretty
Company.
sure we watched the Neil Patrick Harris version on YouTube. But that's a great show. That's a great. If you're interested in musicals, Company is really great. The other one I have is another musical called Sunrise Boulevard. So in 1995 for the
Sunset.
Tony, Sunset Boulevard. I wrote Sunrise in my notes. My bad. It's Sunset Boulevard. But in 1990, the year that this was up for Best Musical when it got the 7 Tony nominations. There were only 2 musicals up for Best Musical of the Year, and the other one won. So it's like you came in second, but you were only out of 2. So Sunset Boulevard is the one that won that year. So if you wanted to compare the 2 shows that were nominated for Best Musical Tony in 1995, you can see those back to back.
It's an Andrew Lloyd Webber. I'll pass.
You hate Andrew Lloyd
I
Webber.
do.
He's not your
Phantom,
favorite.
Phantom, and Cats can suck it.
Let's say I've never seen Cats. I have no intention of seeing Cats. I've seen
Release the
Phantom.
butthole cut. You didn't think that would come out on this, did you?
No, no, I did not. And Phantom is one of my least favorites, so I can rock with you on that.
Nice.
Still don't dislike Andrew Lloyd Webber, but
I hate him.
don't like Phantom. Phantom is Beauty and the Beast meets To Catch a Predator meets Twilight. It is all 3 of those in one.
It's the music for me, though. I don't mind the story. I hate the music. Like,
oh, I hate the story.
I don't like the rock aspect of it. Like,
It's different.
I just. Mm-mm.
It's one of those things that I can appreciate it for what it is. I'm like, this isn't for me, but I understand why somebody likes it. I just hate the predator aspect of the plot.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a grown man with a child. So that's the part I don't like.
Yeah, I would get crucified. You know, I'd probably lose my credibility for being a musical lover, but
it's a hot take.
He's just never been a favorite of mine. Even like his most recent stuff, like School of Rock, I'm not a big fan.
It's a hot take, and you're entitled to your opinions.
Yeah.
This is a safe space.
But people love Joseph the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat and Jesus Christ Superstar and all that stuff.
I love Joseph the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. But again, it's
fan.
one of those ones that it's something I grew up with. Like, it's hard to separate the colors and the dancing and the fun from it's like, is it the best musical ever? No. But do I have a special place in my heart for it? Absolutely.
Phantom blows.
So we said I already said if I would recommend it to a friend, is if only if they could see the visuals of it. And I believe you said that if they were you would rather recommend them to go listen to the originals.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you give it a star rating?
I gave it 2.5 stars.
Alrighty. You did not enjoy this.
I didn't.
Does that mean you're not going to watch it with me?
I didn't say that. I'll watch it with you. Like you said, maybe I'd enjoy it more if I saw it on screen. But just listening to this, it's like listening to just not as good covers of songs. So
Hmm. That's fair. I gave it a 3.5 because I had a fun time.
yeah,
And like I do love a cover. I do love a cover. Like I'm not saying a cover never replaces the original. Um, but I enjoy it. So, and just to hear a different version of the song, like someone's take on the song is always just an interesting POV. So I had a fun time. Again, I also have sentimental ties to it. So I was like, I'm having a great time here. It's also great background music. Like I do
yeah.
not need to pay attention. I can just let that thing play in the background and have a fun time and not worry about it.
I wasn't looking forward to it. I felt like I was just going to disappoint you. So
You did not disappoint me. No, I say you're entitled to your opinions, and I'm entitled to my opinions. And as long as you like the song "Saved," that's
yeah, no, saved
the
was there
only thing
because
I
you had
care
played it
about.
for me before, and I could see that in a musical number. Like I could see that as like I can envision that as a piece. Some of the other
Hmm.
stuff, I was just like, I don't have any idea why.
And that's okay.
So
No problem. Well, anything else to add?
I think that's everything that I have about Sleepy Joe's Cafe or
Smoky Joe's Cafe.
Smoky Joe's Bed and Breakfast.
Smoky Joe's Bed and Breakfast. Absolutely. Well, then, thank you, Cody. Thank you for enduring with me and sitting here and talking to me about it. Do you have any music recommendations?
I honestly haven't
Anything
been.
you've been listening to?
The only thing that I've been listening to is probably Paramore's what's the album? Something Laughter. Um, After Laughter. It's the
I was gonna
2017
say,
Paramore album. It's like the 80s album that she
mhm,
has. I was listening to that a lot earlier today, so
it's a
that's
great
all.
album.
Yeah.
Paramore can do no wrong. So I've
So that's it.
no, it's good. I've actually got two songs that I heard this past. I'm like, I always get so excited when I have a new song because I feel like I don't get it very often. I have one called "The Actor" by Jason Kimmel. So if you have TikTok, maybe you've seen it or not, but it's about this guy. It basically wrote a song that kind of ties to the television show How I Met Your Mother. So if you're a fan of Ted Mosby or just the show in general, there's a lot of like Easter eggs hidden in the song. It is a very almost Broadway-esque song, but I think it's very good. It tells a story and it's kind of fun to tie it back to the How I Met Your Mother stuff. So highly recommend The Actor by Jason Kimmel. And I have another one that I heard today, this week, called Sally When the Wine Runs Out by Role Model. That was just fun. I just had a great time. It's
Nice.
upbeat, it's fun, um, got good vibes, just vibes all around. So those are my two music recs for y'all this week.
Very nice. I
Yeah,
like
look at
that.
us having recs.
Look at us.
We're great. And if you're interested in getting more information about this show, about hanging out with us, you can see us on Instagram. We've got an Instagram where we post our information about the show. We've also got our Discord server. So that's really where you're going to get the most information, music recs, information about upcoming streams, just chatting back and forth in general. We also talk about movies there quite a bit. The Oscars were just last Sunday, so that's been a hot topic in the chat. But again, our Discord server or follow us on Instagram. We'd love to have you. We'd love to interact with you and see you there. Next week, again, continuing our soundtrack month, we are going to be covering the soundtrack of the movie Waiting to Exhale. So, Waiting to Exhale, various artists. Is that a movie that we're watching?
It's
I
actually
say,
this month.
oh, no way.
We're covering it in Who Run the World, Girls.
Fantastic. So you can have a double feature. Watch the movie, listen to the soundtrack, get your Whitney Houston fill, and that is what we're going to be covering next week. Again, Waiting to Exhale, streaming on whatever platform that you use. But I think that's all we got for you. Thank you all so much for tuning in to 52/1995 Music. We will see you next week.
This is my Joseph Hart. That's for Joseph,
Hello,
wherever
Joseph.
he is. Out of here.